You're sitting on your bed, late at night, everyone else is asleep, and you're holding something that's been burning inside you for weeks, maybe months, something you haven't told a single person, something that would change how people see you if they knew. And your dog jumps up beside you, or your cat curls into your lap, and you just start talking. I didn't actually go to the gym today, I lied. Or, I'm thinking about leaving, but nobody can know. Or, I'm not okay. I haven't been okay for a long time. Words that would terrify you to say out loud to another human. But to this animal, they come out like a confession, like you're finally allowed to be honest about the thing you've been hiding. And your pet just sits there, listening, existing, never writing the story down, never bringing it up at dinner, never using it as ammunition later. They just know your secret now, and somehow that makes it slightly less heavy, because you're not alone with it anymore. Someone knows, even if that someone has 4 legs and no ability to betray you. This is the psychology of people who share secrets with their pets. And if you do this, if you whisper the things you can't tell anyone else to a creature that will take them to their grave, you're not pathological. You're not avoiding real connection. You're doing exactly what humans need to do to survive. You're telling the truth, just to the only being who's safe enough to tell it to. Let's start with what's actually happening when you share a secret with your pet. Because this is different from venting. This is different from complaining. This is vulnerability. When you tell someone a secret, you're making a choice. You're deciding that this person is trustworthy, that they won't judge you, that they won't use it against you. With humans, you're always calculating the risk. Will they tell someone? Will they think less of me? Will this change our relationship? And those calculations are exhausting. So most people don't actually tell anyone the truth. They tell a version of the truth, an edited, filtered, socially acceptable version. But with your pet, there's no calculation, there's no risk assessment. You can tell the raw, unedited, completely vulnerable truth. And the worst thing that happens is nothing. They don't react, they don't judge, they don't suddenly see you differently, because they're not social creatures who understand shame the way humans do. They just understand presence, and that's psychologically revolutionary. Here's what secrets you tell your pet that you'd never tell a human. The doubts about your relationship that you're supposed to hide. I'm not sure I love them anymore. Is that awful? Am I awful? The times you've been selfish or cruel. I said something mean just to hurt their feelings, and I meant it. The things you want that contradict who you're supposed to be. I don't want kids, but everyone expects me to. Or, I want to leave everything behind and start over. The fears that aren't appropriate to admit. I think I'm failing. I think everyone knows I'm failing. The dark thoughts you're not allowed to have. Sometimes I don't want to be here anymore. These are the secrets that would shatter your image if people knew, so you don't tell anyone, except your pet. And there's something psychologically necessary about being able to admit these things somewhere. Because keeping them locked inside creates a fractured self. You have the you that people see, and you have the you that you actually are. And the gap between them gets wider and wider, until you don't know which version is real anymore. But when you tell your pet the truth, the versions start to merge, because someone knows the real you, even if that someone is your dog. Let's talk about why you tell secrets to your pet instead of a human. Because humans have a terrible track record with secrets. They swear they won't tell, then they do. It was just between me and other person. And suddenly everyone knows. They promise not to judge, then they do. You tell them something vulnerable and their face changes, just slightly, but you notice. Or worse, they tell you what you should do about it. Well, obviously you should just... But you didn't ask for solutions. You asked for safety. And they made you feel stupid for having the problem in the first place. So you learn not to tell humans the truth. You learn to be mysterious, unknowable, safe. But that takes constant energy. You have to remember what story you told to which person. You have to monitor your face to make sure it's showing what you want it to show. You have to think before you speak, filtering out the real thoughts and replacing them with acceptable ones. It's exhausting. With your pet, there's no monitoring, no filtering, no calculating. You can just be the person you actually are, and they accept it without question. Here's the type of secret you're most likely to tell your pet. The secrets that would redefine you if people knew. Not the small ones, not "I ate a whole cake," but the big ones, the foundational ones, the ones that change how people understand you. "I was abused and I haven't told anyone." "I'm not actually happy in this life." "I think I made the wrong choices." These are secrets that don't have expiration dates. They're not gossip. They're not scandalous. They're just real. And you can't tell anyone because if you do, they become a focal point. Suddenly you're the person who was abused, or the person who's unhappy, or the person who regrets their life, instead of just being a person who experienced those things. But your pet doesn't care about categories. You can tell them your worst secret, and then 10 minutes later, you're just the person on the couch with them. You're not defined by what you revealed. You're just still yourself. Let's talk about what happens psychologically when you tell your pet something you've never told anyone. There's relief, obvious relief. You've been holding this secret in your chest and suddenly it's out. Out of your body, out of your mind, into the world through your words. And even though you're only telling an animal, that relief is real. The pressure decreases, the burden gets lighter. But there's something else too. There's a moment of profound clarity. When you say the secret out loud, you hear it differently. You hear the actual truth without the shame filter you usually apply. "I'm unhappy in my relationship" sounds different when you say it to your dog than when you think it alone. In your head, it has all kinds of moral judgment attached. But out loud, it's just a fact. And sometimes hearing the fact without the judgment helps you understand what you actually need to do about it. Here's what your pet is doing while you tell them your secret. They're witnessing you, and that's more powerful than it seems. There's a psychological concept called the witness effect. When you tell someone, anyone, even a creature, about something real, it becomes more real. It stops being something you're keeping inside, something shameful, something that might go away if you don't think about it. It becomes something external, acknowledged, witnessed. Your pet is holding the space for that secret. They're not processing it the way a human would. They're not strategizing about what it means for your future. They're just holding it. And that simple act of witnessing is what makes it safe. Because they're not going to do anything with that information. They can't judge it, can't tell it, can't weaponize it. They can just know that you're the kind of person who has this secret. And that's okay. You're not doing this because your pet is a good confidant. You're doing this because humans have proven to be too dangerous to trust with the truth. And understanding why that is reveals something painful about how we've learned to hide ourselves. If you regularly tell your pet secrets you won't tell anyone else, it's because the people in your life have taught you that honesty isn't safe. Not necessarily through betrayal, but through judgment, through unsolicited advice, through changing how they treat you afterward. Your brain learned the truth makes people see you differently, and not in a good way, so you keep the truth hidden, except with your pet, where there's no risk. Because here's what society does. Everyone says you should be yourself. But the moment you actually are, the moment you admit uncertainty, doubt, darkness, or deviation from the acceptable story, people respond with discomfort. They pull back. They treat you differently. They see you as broken instead of human. So you learn to not be yourself around them, except with your pet. With your pet, you can be completely honest about who you actually are, even when that person is complicated, uncertain, or not who you're supposed to be. Let's talk about what type of person tells their pet their deepest secrets. The person who's been betrayed before. Someone told your secret, or used it against you, or made you feel small for having it. And now you're hyper-vigilant about who you trust. Your pet has never betrayed you, never will. So they become the only safe person, the person who doesn't have the language for what they're feeling. Maybe you're depressed, but you don't want to admit it. Maybe you're scared, but you need to say it out loud before you can name it. You can't tell a therapist, can't tell a friend, can't admit it to yourself, but you can tell your dog, and somehow that counts. The person who's been told their feelings are wrong. You've expressed doubts about your career and been told, but you chose this. You've expressed unhappiness about your relationship and been told nobody's perfectly happy. You've been invalidated so many times that you stopped expecting to be heard, so you talk to your pet instead. At least they don't argue with you. The person who's afraid of being a burden. If you tell a human your secret, you're asking them to carry it, to worry, to be involved. But if you tell your pet, you're not burdening anyone. You're just speaking truth into the void of their non-judgment. And that feels ethical. That feels okay. Here's what telling your pet secrets reveals about you. It reveals that you're honest, deeply honest. You're not okay with the performative version of yourself. You need to be real somewhere, with someone, even if that someone is a pet. It reveals that you understand the weight of secrets. You know that keeping them inside destroys you slowly, so you found a way to get them out, without destroying your relationships. It reveals that you're self-protecting. You've learned the hard way that vulnerability with humans is dangerous, so you've adapted. You've found a safe outlet. That's not weakness, that's survival. Let's talk about the moment someone catches you telling your pet a secret. Were you just telling them about that? Yes, and they're not going to tell anyone because they can't talk. That's kind of sad. It's honest. That's different. You know you can talk to me, right? I can, but you've proven you can't handle it. People feel uncomfortable when they realize you've told your pet something you haven't told them, because it reveals a hierarchy, and they're below your dog on the trust scale. That stings. That reveals that your relationship isn't as safe as they thought it was, so they get defensive. They suggest you're depressed, or avoiding, or unable to function in normal society. But you know the truth. You're choosing the only truly safe place to be honest. And that's wise. Here's what I want you to know. If you tell your pet secrets you won't tell anyone else, you're not broken. You're not antisocial. You're not pathologically isolated. You're someone who needs honesty more than you need approval. And your pet gives you a place to have that honesty without losing anything. They give you permission to be the person you actually are, not the version people expect, the actual, unedited, complicated, sometimes contradictory person. That's rare, that's precious, that's worth protecting. Here's the truth that people who don't understand this will never get. Telling secrets to your pet isn't about them understanding the words. It's about you having a witness to your truth who doesn't need the truth to be different. Your pet doesn't need you to be happy, successful, consistent, or likable. They just know you, all of you. And in a world that's constantly asking you to be more acceptable, more palatable, more easy to love, that unconditional witnessing is revolutionary. So keep telling them your secrets, keep saying the things you can't say to anyone else. Keep being honest about who you are and what you actually want. Keep living a double life, the acceptable version and the real version. Because you're not losing your mind, you're keeping your truth. Your pet is in the other room right now. They're listening. They're always listening. Go tell them the secret you've been holding. They won't judge. They won't tell. They won't change how they see you. They'll just know. And sometimes being known is more valuable than being understood.